Hey you all, this is Brian and you are watching the Dark Age channel.
Have you ever wondered if you could stock up for an emergency without breaking the bank? Let's face it, the idea of prepping often comes with a hefty price tag in our heads, right? We imagine needing a mountain of cash just to get started, especially when we think about piling up food for the unknown. But what if I told you that's not entirely true? That's right. We don't need to sell a kidney to prepare for tough times. Here's the thing, prepping doesn't have to be about hoarding fancy freeze-dried meals or gourmet canned goods. It's time to rethink our approach to emergency stockpiling. It's not about replicating our everyday fresh and frozen delicacies, but about getting smart with our choices. We're talking survival, not a five-star dining experience. And guess what? You can actually build a decent survival food stockpile with just $100. Yep, you heard that right. In this video, we'll dive into the nitty-gritty of stockpiling food on a budget. Spoiler alert, it's simpler and more doable than you think. Building a $100 stockpile. Now let's get into something pretty awesome. Building a survival food stockpile with just $100. Sounds like a stretch, right? But stick with me, and I'll show you how it's totally doable. First off, let's squash the myth that prepping for emergencies means emptying your wallet. Nope. It's all about being savvy and knowing what to buy. We're aiming for a 3-month supply here. And guess what? It's not about fancy, expensive foods. It's about the basics that'll keep you going. Here's the game plan. Focus on foods that give you the most bang for your buck and have a long shelf life. We're talking rice, beans, flour, and cooking oil, the heavy hitters of survival food. Buy these guys in bulk and you're already halfway there. Rice and beans are your staples. They're cheap, filling, and can be stored for ages. Then, there's flour and oil, perfect for whipping up some pan bread. And hey, don't forget a jar of peanut butter for that extra protein kick and flavor. Now, where to shop? Hit up places like Sam's Club or Costco. Buying in bulk is the secret sauce here. With careful planning and smart shopping, you can stretch that $100 to cover your basic nutritional needs for 3 months. Further additions to the stockpile. When you've got your basic stockpile and all those tasty upgrades, it's time to really round out that survival pantry. We're talking about adding variety and boosting nutrition without going crazy on the budget. It's all about smart choices and a little bit of creativity. First up, let's talk jam or jelly. Pair it with that peanut butter you've already got, and boom, instant flavor upgrade for your bread. It's a simple addition, but adds a nice touch of sweetness and variety. Now, to enhance those baking skills, stock up on more baking necessities. Think baking powder, baking soda, the works. These are the unsung heroes that'll let you bake a wider range of goods, keeping things interesting when mealtime rolls around. Don't forget canned fruits and veggies. They add a much-needed dose of vitamins and break the monotony of beans and rice. Plus, they have a long shelf life, which is perfect for prepping. And then there's canned meat. Tuna, chicken, even Spam, these can seriously upgrade your protein intake. Yes, they're a bit pricier, but they add essential variety and nutrition. If you're feeling fancy, consider dried meat. Great for soups, they're a bit of a splurge, but worth it for the flavor and protein boost. Lastly, don't overlook honey. It's a natural sweetener and lasts forever. Plus, it's a natural antibiotic that talks about a double win. Importance of macronutrients. Real quick, let's talk about another important thing in survival prepping that often gets overshadowed by a lot of things. Macronutrients. Now, this isn't about some fancy diet trend. It's about understanding the building blocks of a survival diet. In the world of prepping, it's not just about filling your belly, it's about what you're filling it with. Macronutrients, we're talking carbs, fats, and proteins. They are the big players here. They're like the dream team keeping you energized and healthy when things go sideways. First up, carbs. They're your body's go-to source of energy. When you're in survival mode, carbs are like your quick-acting fuel, giving you that immediate energy boost. It's like having a turbo button for your body. Then, there are fats. They don't get the best rap in our everyday diets, but in a survival situation, fats are like your long-lasting battery pack. They break down slower, providing a steady stream of energy. It's like having a backup generator when your main power goes out. And finally, there are proteins, crucial for repairing and building tissues. Think of them as the maintenance crew that keeps your body in tip-top shape. long-term storage and meat preservation. And lastly, let's talk about something that's a big deal in the prepping world, but doesn't always get the spotlight: long-term storage and meat preservation. This is where the rubber meets the road in making sure your stockpile stands the test of time. First off, the storage game. It's all about keeping your goods safe and sound for the long haul. We're not just tossing bags of rice and beans in the closet and calling it a day. You've got to think about factors like moisture, pests, and temperature. Airtight containers are your best friends here. They're like the Fort Knox for your food. Nothing's getting in or out without your say-so. Now let's chat about meat. It's a tricky one to store, but oh so important for protein. If you've got the extra dough, consider buying meat in bulk. But here's the key: you've got to preserve it right. We're talking dehydration and lots of salt. Think beef jerky style. This isn't just about flavor. It's about making sure your meat doesn't spoil when there's no fridge in sight. Properly preserved and stored, this meat can last a long while, giving you that crucial protein when you need it most. And hey, if you're up for a little DIY action, try dehydrating meat yourself. It's a skill that's not only useful for prepping, but also pretty satisfying to master. Upgrading the stockpile. And whenever you're ready, you might want to level up our prepping game. You've got your basic $100 survival stockpile set, but what if you've got a few extra bucks to spare? It's time to upgrade that stash and add some pizzas to your survival menu. Thinking about it surviving is great, but why not make it a bit more enjoyable? With a little more cash in hand, you can turn that basic survival kit into something a bit more gourmet. We're not talking about breaking the bank, just spicing things up, literally. First on the list, spices. These are game changers, folks. Sprinkling some spices can turn bland into grand in no time. And here's a pro tip: buy them in restaurant-sized containers. You get way more bang for your buck compared to the tiny jars at the supermarket. Next, let's talk about beef and chicken. It's like a flavor bomb for your rice and beans, and it can transform them into a comforting soup. Plus, it's perfect for mixing up with any veggies or meat you might come across, even if it's, let's say, unconventional. Don't forget pasta and spaghetti sauce. Who doesn't love spaghetti? It's a comforting classic and easy to store. And for the bakers out there, grab some powdered eggs and milk. They'll let you whip up all sorts of bread beyond basic pan bread. Oh, and snag some sugar too. It's not just for sweetness, it's great for baking and, believe it or not, it lasts forever when stored right. With these upgrades, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're turning your basic stockpile into a survival feast. Survival diet versus regular diet. Next up, let's talk about another important thing in the prepping world: the big difference between your everyday chow and a survival diet. Trust me, it's like comparing apples and, well, canned beans. In our daily lives, we're all about fresh produce, frozen meals, and let's be real, a fair share of snack foods. But when it comes to survival mode, this kind of diet just won't cut it. Why? Well, fresh and frozen foods are great, but they're like high-maintenance friends. They need constant care. Hello, refrigeration. And let's not even get started on junk food. Sure, it's comforting, but in a survival scenario, it's pretty much useless. Here's the kicker: a survival diet isn't about pleasing your taste buds, it's about keeping you alive and kicking. We're talking about foods that are all about efficiency and longevity. Imagine foods that can sit on a shelf for ages and still be good to eat when the going gets tough. And the best part? These foods are usually way cheaper and easier to stockpile than your typical grocery haul. Caloric requirements for survival. Next, let's dive into a topic that's super crucial in the prepping world, but often gets overlooked: the real deal on caloric needs for survival. Now, we've all been schooled on the standard 2,000 to 3,000 calories a day diet, right? But when the chips are down and you're in survival mode, that rulebook needs a serious rewrite. Here's the scoop: in a survival situation, your body's not running a marathon. It's more like conserving fuel during a long haul. What does this mean for your calorie count? Well, it turns out you don't need to gobble down a whopping 2,500 calories to keep the lights on. In fact, for survival purposes, you can scale it way back. We're talking about 1,300 to 1,400 calories a day as a solid target. And in a real crunch, you can even dip down to 1,100 or 1,200 calories. Now, I know what you're thinking: that sounds like a diet plan, not a survival strategy. But here's the thing: Survival isn't about living large, it's about living smart. When you're prepping your survival stash, think efficiency over excess. Those lower calorie counts aren't just about scraping by. They're about making the most of what you've got. So, yeah, if you're planning your survival kit, remember, it's not about packing in the most calories, it's about packing the right calories. Misconceptions about prepping costs. All right, folks, let's chat about one of the biggest myths floating around in the prepping world: the cost of getting prepped up. You've probably heard the rumor mill churning out stories about how you need to spend a small fortune to be a legit prepper, right? Well, it's time to bust that myth wide open. Here's the deal. People often think prepping is like shopping for a luxury cruise. You need the best of everything, and lots of it. But hold on, that's not what smart prepping is about. We're not out here trying to stock our bunkers with gourmet meals and the fanciest gear. The truth is, prepping is more about being clever with your resources than flashing the cash. It's like a game where the goal is to get the most bang for your buck, not to empty your bank account. Think about it in a real emergency. It's not about dining in style. It's about surviving, plain and simple. So, if you hear someone saying, prepping is only for those with deep pockets, tell them they're missing the point. You don't need a lot of money to prepare for tough times. With a little know-how and some smart shopping, anyone can build a solid emergency stockpile without spending a fortune. Prepping is for everyone, and it's about being resourceful, not rich. Let's keep it real and prep smart, not expensive.